So what's next? What keeps me awake at night? What do I think we should be stressed about? We face another year of potentially paradigm changes. I doubt the next government is going to find buckets of cash for healthcare or for doctors, but we can be certain of this. Whoever forms government in June will make changes, and we need to be ready. So in light of that, I want to share 4 thoughts as we look at the year ahead, or even the years ahead. The first is this: we must realize that everything is political. The psychiatrist and journalist Charles Krauthammer says, "We grow justly weary of our politics." But we must remember this: politics, in all its grubby, grasping, corrupt, contemptible manifestations, is sovereign in human affairs. Everything ultimately rests upon it. Now, some of you say, and you've said to me, I'm apolitical. Sorry, you can't be apolitical in this business. Everything is political. Politics is supreme. Whether we choose healthcare for the individual versus the collective is a political debate. It's political. This is the environment that we work in, and we must be aware of it, or we'll never be able to achieve change. Let me give you a concrete example. It's fashionable in many circles to impugn individual initiative. Individuals acting on their own must be selfish or greedy or odd in some way. People look sideways at individual initiative, but the collective is pure. Team care is everything. Teams are never greedy or corrupt. They are the ideal that we should strive for in every clinical situation. I love team care. I work in a team. I'm in an academic family health team. I think it's fantastic. It's good for me, it's good for other providers, and it's good for patients. But care is still offered one patient at a time. Teams can work together, but individuals provide care and compassion. I could give many other examples. At every turn, we're faced with the politics of certainty versus the trade-offs of real life. Crisp plans from LHINs and government versus the messy reality of clinical care. We face human fallibility and frailty in our patients and in ourselves, juxtaposed with dreams of progress and perfection. And in medicine, results matter, not just good intentions. These are all political issues, massive political debates, which leads me to my second point. We must be men and women of conviction. We must know what we stand for and why. The poet Yeats said, "The best lack all conviction, and the worst are filled with passionate intensity." We need people of conviction. We must identify the high moral ground. We should not be afraid to use the language of morality in advocating for care. We can't be so open-minded that we won't even take our own side in an argument. Chesterton said that we've moved humility from the organ of ambition to the organ of conviction. We doubt truth, the truth of our convictions, but we never doubt ourselves. I say we need to do the opposite. We must be certain of the truth of our conviction, but be humble about our abilities to see them through. We should be proud and convinced of our vision to care for patients, but humble about our abilities to carry it out. Know this: every other stakeholder and provider in the system has a crystal clear sense of what they believe that they can and should be able to do. We need a vision for care, not just positions on issues. But where do we start? What's our basis for forming convictions about politics? I'd suggest we look at medicine. We look at our profession, our roots. What makes medicine unique? What's so special about doctors? We might start with the doctor-patient relationship. Medicine is about one doctor caring for one patient at a time. Organizations cannot care. Government cannot show compassion. This doesn't mean that we don't need organizations or hospitals or government. Of course we need them. But we need organizations to serve, not dictate. We need hospitals to support the care we provide. not tell us how to operate. We need governments to help us, not guide us or tell us how to think. We need good government. A major part of good government is not doing things that we never asked it to do. If we believe that the doctor-patient relationship is good for patients, then we must oppose the idea that individual activity is always inherently suspect in some way. If we believe medicine is about individuals helping other individuals, then we must oppose the idea that medicine is best run by a small group of people at Queen's Park. Which leads to my third point. So once we realize that everything is political in healthcare, and once we do the work to gain clarity and conviction, we need to work together to advance our goals. And this is not a platitude. We could choose to fight over relativity, urban versus rural docs, specialists versus generalists, male, female, academic, community. The list is endless of issues that we could choose to divide over. Fighting harms us all. I'll give you a concrete example. Just this past week, a small group of doctors have been attacking MPPs and candidates. They centered out one MPP on social media for tabling a private member's bill to help solve the crisis of unmatched medical students. This MPP was trying to help the students. They also sent over 30 emails to one candidate and other emails to many other candidates. They sent emails to every candidate who signed our pledge. The OMA created a pledge asking people to commit to improve healthcare. They criticized candidates for having anything to do with the OMA. Do you think MPPs are going to talk with doctors when they get attacked by other doctors for doing so? Do you think we, any of us here today, will be invited to discuss healthcare when politicians know that they will be attacked and shamed and embroiled in a controversy just for talking with us? This is not an attack on the OMA. Sure, it makes it very hard for us to do public advocacy. This is not about the OMA. This is an attack on the profession. And this is not something that the OMA can control. It requires all of us. It requires all of us working together to make sure that internal debates stay internal. We need debate. I want you to attack me. It'll help me improve my opinions, become smarter, but please attack me. Attack Nadia, attack the OMA. Don't attack Nadia. So, but don't attack other people for talking to me. This harms us all. We are on the cusp of potentially massive changes in healthcare. We need doctors to be central in the conversation. We must keep our fights between ourselves. If we don't, we will guarantee that doctors will not be asked to take part in anything meaningful. Self-destruction is a very real and deep concern for me. My last point is this: we must persevere. We need perseverance, not just passion. Tommy Douglas said this, and you can Google him. It's from his 1979 SOS Medicare conference. So Tommy Douglas said this, and I quote, "Those of us who talked about Medicare in the 40s, 50s, and 60s kept reminding the public that there are two phases for Medicare. The first was to remove the financial barrier between those who provide health services and those who need them. We pointed out repeatedly that that phase was the easiest of the problems we would confront. Phase number 2 would be the much more difficult one. And that was to alter our delivery system so as to reduce costs and place the emphasis on preventive medicine." And you can listen to the rest of his comments. He said that in 1979, so Douglas would probably say something different today. He would use different examples, different reasons, different analysis, and that's not the point here. The point is that Tommy Douglas spent over 40 years fighting for a vision until his death in 1986. I agree with much of his vision. Big chunks of his vision I disagree with strongly, but I think we all can appreciate the passion, the determination, the endurance that he poured into seeing change in healthcare. We need that kind of endurance. This is not about the next contract. This is not about getting 2.6% per year, if we're lucky to do so. Sorry, we will get it, but we need a vision for the whole of medicine. So in closing, we've accomplished great changes this year, and we face even greater challenges next year. We cannot get depressed. If we were resuscitating a critically ill patient in front of us, we would not start crying. We would choose to focus on the job at hand because the outcome is so important. Despair is not a virtue for doctors. Our job now is to focus, to own the high road, to show everyone that we are leaders when it comes to anything to do with doctors and medicine. So can we do this? Can we be aware of our political environment? Can we find and hold convictions? Can we work together and persevere? Having met and interacted with thousands of doctors this year, I can say with absolute certainty, I have never met a smarter, more compassionate group of people. So can we do this? Absolutely. Will we do it? That's up to you. And it's been an incredible privilege to serve all of you this year, and I will miss it deeply. Thank you.